I don't know. There sometimes our audio doesn't feed like up to the live,
Okay.
but people will comment if that's the case. But right now we'll just assume that we're good, and we'll just get into it. Um, Hopefully we are, but yeah, we'll just get into it. Good after, good evening, Onion Lake, Tanse, the Scott Nawa Kakyo. Here with Chief Electoral Officer for the Onion Lake General Election 2025, Mr. Billy Turner. He's going to be providing an update just regarding the whole election process, where everything is at. So I think with that, we'll get into it. I'll hand the floor over to you, Mr. Turner.
Great.
I do have a set of questions here. Billy, we're about halfway through the campaign period. How has everything been going so far? So if you just want to do a little quick introduction and then get into it from there,
Okay.
I think we'll be good.
All right. Well, like you said, Fraser, the Chief Electoral Officer for the Sears General Elections for Onion Lake Cree Nation. We've completed the nomination process, and we're in the 2 week campaigning process before votes are taken and the polls are taken here next Wednesday. So I just wanted to do a bit of an update here, and then maybe come back tomorrow live and talk about the appeals process tomorrow. But tonight, update some people and do a bit of reminders on what some of the candidates are bound by within the election code.
Awesome. Yeah. So like I mentioned before, we're about halfway through the campaign period. How has everything been so far? Have there been any issues or concerns raised that you'd like to clarify for the community?
Yeah. Well, it's obviously been really busy. Preparing for the training the workers, preparing the ballots, making sure we get everybody's names spelled correctly. But so far everything's good. I've gotten a couple of complaints, which is why I decided we got to come here and go over this again. There's been some people, this is their first kind of campaign, they're not really too sure about their style. So I just wanted to remind candidates that they're bound by the election law as a candidate. And that also within that election law that they're bound by is the code of ethics. Specifically, it starts on page 11, but the majority of it for purposes here today is on page 11 of the election law. Just says that, starting off with the code of ethics, that candidates must campaign according to the rules and regulations established in this law and the code of ethics. So, a couple different complaints I had. I won't go into specifics or whatever, but vote buying, and you got a campaign without vote buying. I think there's a bit of a gray area because not too long ago we had one politician who was in Edmonton. I think he was handing out some coffee gift cards, right, just for
Mm,
Tim Hortons, and then that actually was a breach under their election law.
mm.
Um, I don't think anybody here is doing that, but just handing out a coffee is different than handing out something like a gift card worth of value, which would fall under this. But just handing out coffee, or I see some people have water bottles or some of their campaign materials, right? You get a little keychain sometimes that says "Vote Pedro."
Yeah, yeah.
Those things aren't necessarily vote buying. The value of them is little. They probably, in my view, they probably form part of the campaign materials of the
Yeah.
person, and gives them an opportunity to really have a chat with people and get their information out there, their political positioning out there. So that's part of their campaigning. Um, so the other part of this, that's B. C, it also talks, got to respect the rights and freedoms of other political campaigns and your fellow candidates. So we got to respect each other, which is also consistent with Cree law in general. And don't prevent other people from listening to other people's campaigns, right? So you got to be free and open and let people respect people's rights. The other one that was a major concern was regarding slandering, right? Social media posts, kind of moving into a the rough area of politics, I guess you could say, where there's a lot of mudslinging. But this election law, it kind of prohibits that here under Section E of Section 5 there, 5.1. It says that every candidate must campaign ethically, focusing on the political issues and candidate platforms instead of engaging in libel and slander. Uh, Libel and slander under the Criminal Code of Canada, or just a definition of it, it's pretty simple. It's just saying unproven facts that are public or posted publicly or in a public forum. So they're not private; they're more public in nature, but they're said in a way that a third party viewing it would think lesser of the person, or might assume that those things are probably true. Um, so that is prohibited by this election law. So in this while you're out campaigning here, I guess we're on the last, heading to the last week. Um, Try to avoid saying anything about the other candidates. Right? Just talk about your position, your platform. Let everybody get their information out. In these kinds of races, the best ideas, or what people find relate with the voters the best, will the cream will rise to the top, basically, right? So that those are one couple issues, um, but there's still more. Obviously, the ones after that and the rest of the section is pretty straightforward. Don't be violent. Don't intimidate people. This ain't like a New York gangster kind of a political campaign. So just respect everybody. Respect the freedom of the press to cover the campaign. Don't try to block anybody's views of the other political views. And general respect electoral officials, accept the results as they are. We're going to have a pretty good counting system with the two ballot system on next Wednesday. So there we're not then anticipating any mistakes being made. If there are, we have ways to correct them. I've been training people, and to accept the final decisions of any appeal tribunals. So, um, so that's basically what the law imposes, that duty on uh, on candidates specifically, right? Not just general citizens. This is specifically for the candidates running in the campaign. So it's a bit of an added duty and onus. So I got to make sure that every candidate is aware of this, so they can, if they haven't heard from me or whatever, I'd advise them to come and email me to talk about this section of the law, and confirm that they understand it. Um, yeah, and so what's the other thing we got to? So there's also ramifications, from breaching these parts, right?
Yeah. um yeah, so just going back to the code of conduct in the election law, and I know you touched on a lot of key points from the election law. Is there anything more regarding the code of conduct you'd like to touch on or expand on? It's totally up to you. I think you covered a lot of it.
Well, the next two parts, 5.2 and 5.3, it just says that you can't bribe anybody. That was already mentioned in the previous one, so it's a bit of a redundant clause. And then also you can't intimidate people, the duress. So again, these are preventing people from exercising their democratic rights. But the next part, Section 6, is what happens when people do
Yeah.
breach that code, right? I guess I should start off by saying that my role as chief electoral officer in this, and at this stage, is not to police and investigate these any alleged breaches of this code of conduct. My role is simply to document it for the appeal board to review. The appeal board has those powers to interview, call evidence, interview people in regards to any of this code of conduct being breached. So my role is just to document the complaints for the appeal board. But if we look into Section 6, there are serious breaches if candidates are found um, violating the code of conduct. The appeal board, right? So a movement under Section 6, you can be removed right here. So anybody can be removed from office and disqualified from candidacy for the next 2 consecutive elections. So that seems to be a pretty serious penalty if found to breach the code of conduct or any part of the election law. That you could be removed from office, and then you could be prevented or disqualified from running in the next 2 elections, which would be what, approximately 6 to 9 years, right?
Yeah. Um. So, moving on. If there's any questions, again, just for the viewers out there, the candidates, you can contact Billy for more information. Everything is in the election law, so make sure you brief yourself up on that. Get educated on that, and again, if there's any questions or gray areas, or you need more clarity on something, you can reach out to Billy. His email is on the screen. You could see that, billy.turner@ytced.ca.
Yeah.
So getting back into this, when and where can community members vote?
Well, again, the vote is happening next Wednesday. All polls are opening at 9 a.m. Saskatoon, Edmonton, and here in Onion Lake. The one in Edmonton is going to be on Kingsway Avenue at the Edmonton Inn and Conference Center. That polling station is going to run from 9 to 6. The one here in Onion Lake is going to be running from 9 to 8, a little bit longer. And then the one in Saskatoon again will be at Travel Lodge at Circle Drive. There will be running from 9 to 6 as well. So that's all next Wednesday.
Nice. What ID or document should voters bring on election day?
Your status card. Um,
Drivers.
well, yeah, I mean, something that indicates that you're a citizen, right? Because that way, I anticipate
Oh,
the only way that you're really not on that list is if you kind of turned 18 just before November 5th, and you didn't have we didn't have time to update the voters list. So if it happens, just a card, status card, and then people are allowed to vote. And they'll get a ballot.
yeah. Yeah. So that's an important point, because in my mind, driver's license, but Onion Lake election, you need something to prove that you're an Onion Lake band member, a treaty number to match what's on the band list to
Yeah.
confirm that you're there. So yeah, so it is a little bit more than just a driver's license, right?
Yeah, you gotta have proof that you're a citizen of Onion Lake and over 18 at the day on November 5th. So,
All right. Will there be advanced polls or special voting options available?
no, not during this election. It seems like I barely had enough time to get everything done here for next Wednesday. And also, it wasn't really with an option, I guess, with student council. They told me to do a mandatory vote, but no, there's no mail-in ballots are being issued, and there's probably a big risk too during the Canada Post stuff. But I think they're back at
Yeah.
work now. Right? I've seen them driving around,
Yeah.
and no advanced polls. It was a lot of work just to get these 3 polls together. So yeah, on polling day, and I had this question too the other day. Someone was asking me if somebody couldn't make it to either of those polling stations, how could they vote? And I had to say no. There's no really any other way right now. There's no online capacities. We're not doing anything like that. It's in person, one person per vote in person. So it's unfortunate, but it's also how elections were run many years ago. So
Hmm. Yeah, there's a good question here on the board. Are there people appealing nominations still to be on the nomination list or the candidate list, or is the official list released, finalized, and won't change?
yeah. Well, first off,
Oh,
like
my bad.
the list didn't change after the nomination meetings. I had that list written and qualified like 20 minutes after the meeting. I didn't accept any documents after the meeting. It doesn't allow for it in the election law. So, and some people are trying to start an appeal, but the appeal period doesn't begin until after the election's done. So disqualified candidates go back to being regular citizens, and then once the whole election process is done, then they can appeal any part of the election where they feel was unfair or inconsistent with the law. And I'll be able. That's why we'll have this little bit of a discussion tomorrow. We'll talk more about the appeal regulations, my role in the appeal regulations, assisting people getting those appeals going. But yeah, there's no appealing the nominations. That is done. The ballots are going to be printed here this week. I made sure to change the number of people's their chosen their preference for spelling. They didn't want to get mixed up with other people, or some people didn't know that was their middle name.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that's the official list when it was released. Like, I apologize last week. It was really late when I typed it up too, and then through the editing process, I was cutting and pasting, trying to get it all on one page, and I made a couple mistakes. Those were just personal mistakes of my own. I wasn't adding or taking off people that shouldn't have been on there. It was just personal mistakes. So the list that the last list that we published is the one, and nobody's appealing. You can't appeal until after next week.
So I have a question, and maybe we could get into it more tomorrow. And I know you probably can't answer this, but let's say there's an appeal on November 6th. Would that be grounds for a whole re-election or a by-election on individuals? And that's probably not
Yeah.
up to you. That's probably up
But
to the appeal
yeah,
board,
it's
right?
not. Yeah, I mean, what the powers of the appeal tribunal are exactly that. They look at what would have, like, how would it's affected the outcome of the election. So usually their general powers, as we'll get into it tomorrow, is to order a new election, or one part of an election, or dismiss it, or make recommendations to the changes of the law if that's where the perceived issue or remedy seems to be. So yeah, if anybody wants to appeal, I just urge them to, accept the results initially, wait a little bit, and then now I'm going to help. It's my role to, we'll get in more into this tomorrow, but it's my role to assist people with the appeals, make all the information available that happened during the election process leading up to it, and be consistent with those appeal regulations. So we'll have to go over that tomorrow and inform some people. That would be good.
Sounds good. I have another question regarding that, but I'll save it for tomorrow. Um, so I think with that we'll move on. Um, Scrutineers, can you explain the role of scrutineers and how they are appointed?
Yeah. So scrutineers are part of the political campaign team of each candidate. Under this election law, uh, they're the eyes and ears of the candidate. And you're allowed to, under this election law, you're allowed to appoint one scrutineer for each polling station. We'll provide, a table, viewing area. They're the only people that are not, non-election officials that are allowed to stay at the polling stations, and it's basically the unofficial eyes and ears of the candidate to report on things, raise issues or things that they think they're unfair for their candidate, and then report back some of the results as they kind of trickle in to the campaign office. So scrutineers play a pretty important role. We got a form. I'd urge, if you haven't appointed a scrutineer, we'd urge people to utilize the scrutineer appointment form here in the back of the election law, because we'll need that to have your scrutineers at each polling station. So I try to get people to do that, as soon as possible, but obviously before November 1st, or polling day, November 5th, as possible. So yeah, scrutineers.
How can people get a form?
For appointing scrutineers.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're on the back of the election law here. Let's just.
So they would email you, you would send
Yeah.
them the election law, and they'll just pull the page out, fill
Yeah,
it
they
out.
can just print it out here. It's page 40 of the election law. People can print that off. And if they need a copy, they can email it to me. I'll send that to them, and then or ask questions if they need,
Okay.
or answer questions.
Awesome. How does the election office ensure transparency and fairness throughout?
Um, Well, there's certain things that I'm not obligated to disclose, right? I do have some discretion to uphold this election law and perform these services to the best of my ability. And obviously, I couldn't do that if I was just disclosing everything. And at the same time, under this election law, general citizens aren't they're not allowed to just demand any information that they want. It has to pertain to the appeal process. Um, but yeah, for transparency, I'm not hiding anything. If anybody has any questions about the election law or the procedures, they can email me at the again. So that's one way of maintaining transparency.
I think another one too is the live stream. Another question on that.
Oh, the webcast. Yeah.
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 Are people allowed to like stay in the hall and watch and observe while the voting's going on,
I,
or is it you vote and then you kind of clear the way?
yeah. Once the polls close, we'll invite people back in to observe the opening unsealing of the ballot box, right? Just so everybody makes sure that since it was empty and sealed, it hasn't been tampered with. After that, yeah, people can watch the counting by live webcasts. I'm not sure if we'll have enough room for it to be in person, and it's not going to be that exciting because we're not putting it on a board, right? Our counters are going to have tally sheets because we're doing it manually, and the tally sheets will have to be counted and recounted. Hopefully, depending on how many ballots we have, hopefully that counting can be done within 4 hours. It's already going to be a very long day.
Yeah.
So we'll be heading into extra overtime, just like that baseball game last night, extra
Yeah.
innings.
18 innings. Um, so as we move closer to November 5th, what message would you like to share with voters and candidates?
Well, now, just to be respectful of everybody. And, this is an Onion Lake election law, and it is an Onion Lake uh, procedure, right? Just like any ceremony, there you got to have a little bit of faith in the procedure. The results that will come out will be the ones that most closely reflect the will of the people for, ushering in a new term for their leadership. So just be respectful of the process. Get informed, like we said, exercise these rights, be a part of the elected law. This law is an example of good Indigenous governance at play. So, and the candidates as well, be aware of that Section 5 Code of Conduct. Be aware of the potential ramifications for breaching it, and take your actions seriously out there. It's easy to slip up on the microphone.
Yeah. um so again, I know we kind of went through this a lot. What's the best way for people, or or we could get into this and the question that was posted here.
Oh, I see.
What's the best way for people to contact you if they have any questions or concerns? And then the other one on the board here, will you be counting the chief ballots first or council?
Oh. Well, the best way to get in contact with me is my email address, billy.turner at ytced.ca. That's the Yahoo Tribal College email, because I taught some classes there. So yeah, the question for Clayton, it's pretty good. I haven't really considered that yet. So we're going to be doing 2 separate ballots, which was a recent development. It's going to have 2 different colors, but I'm not sure. Does it really matter?
Yeah, I kind of don't think so, but maybe election law states otherwise.
I mean, when we're looking at going through the law, everything is done first. Like Okinawa is put up first, and then counselor is done second. So even in the thing, so maybe we'll stick with that. Probably go with Okinawa first.
Mhm.
So count the chief ballots first, and then see what kind of council they're gonna have to work with. But it's always fun getting those results after an election, the long, hard work being done, and looking for, everybody's looking forward to the new term. So it's always an exciting time.
Man, that is exciting. So after the Ogama ballot count, will you be posting that result right then and there, or will you be waiting after the whole process is
Well,
complete?
you'll be there. What live, right? I could
Yeah,
announce it on
yeah.
the thing. We could have a separate published for the whole
Council.
results for that. Yeah. it should work out good. I'm putting a lot of effort into making sure that nothing's really missed and then everything goes pretty good smoothly on that day, so that one, that I'm not we don't have any mistakes, you're not up late, and that people get the results as soon as possible. And under the law, they don't have to be posted until the next day. But it's just, you know, I know people are biting their nails waiting to see those results. Elections are like that.
So another question, just for the viewers out there, can you um highlight, I guess, or how important is this process, is this vote, bringing in a new leadership for any community, like what's at stake, like the future of our kids, right? And all of that kind of stuff. And why is it important for people to exercise their right to vote?
Well, in every election, it's just it's a renewal, right? It's like a ceremony. You're re-performing that commitment to the community. The process is a ceremony, and it's also, like I said, it's an act of Indigenous governance. There's people. I know we get some of their budget, a lot of our budget, and a lot of work, or a lot of things from federal government and Indigenous Services Canada, but this this can't really be said to be that this is an election that's done by and for specifically Cree people under Cree law, their own Cree law, and in that way it's protected by international law like treaties, United Nations declarations of rights of Indigenous people. So so considering that, simply going out to vote or participating in this process should bring a lot of people pride, right? Pride, and show a commitment back to your community, and a respect for the new leaders and respect for the process. So it's always good, right? We always want to make sure our community is doing better, and our kids always live a better opportunities than we have. And we've gone through so much troubles in the last few generations. We always got to keep marching forward, and this is one way that we're able to do that. This is a pretty strict law that should pump out the best candidates for the community.
Yeah, another point too is like a lot of times, like all of us, not just here but everywhere, even in non-native elections and stuff, we would like the chips to fall a certain way, but that's never the case. Do you have any advice around it, or any kind of encouragement? Like, don't get your hopes up too high to have the results land a certain way. Like they're gonna land where they're gonna land,
Yeah, I
right?
mean, we haven't had any polling done. Maybe you could put a poll and see where people are feeling, people are at with their campaigns. I haven't had the budget or time to host any of the candidates forums, but I heard there was one in Saskatoon here today that people are taking part in. So maybe there would be a bit of a sense of who feels like they're in the leadership in the race right now. But that final stretch at voting day is really what's going to matter. So the chips may fall. So I can't really say, it's a race. You gotta, may the best human win.
Yeah, especially for our kids, right?
Yeah.
There was a mention at, or you were there at the nomination. Vote from your mind and not your heart, because like trying to vote for your uncles and relatives and stuff, when really the probably better option is this person or that person, just based on like vision and like things like that for the future. um yeah, I don't know where I'm going
Well,
with
no,
that.
that's what exactly why I say be informed, know what the candidates' positions are, right? And then part of the thing is let people get their message out, right? If somebody has a better message than you, start a coalition with them, maybe, or say, that's a good idea, but I would change this little bit of it. Different, that's how politics is. It's like that, but the major thing is be informed before you vote. A lot of people are also strict along party lines. Like, no, your family's running. You got to vote the way of your family.
Yeah, there's a lot of kind of action on social media. I've kind of come across it here and there. One good message that I like reading on social media is, at the end of the day, we're all from this community. We're all neighbors. We all live here. Um, and to remember that after this election, we all still need each other.
Yeah,
So like
we're
not
all
to
still here.
forget that, right?
Well, it's like that red green show, right? Keep your stick on the ice, right? Or keep your paddle in the water. We're all in this together, right? So that's a good reminder. Things are gonna pass, and we still have to live together. So that's a good way to bring it back, right? And that's part of that is remembering that is going to be consistent with a lot of people to be consistent with this code of ethics, not get too heated up in debate, not be be respectful of one another. At the end of the day, we still got to march forward together.
Hmm. Just I don't know this for a fact, but like historically, or even a generation ago or a couple generations ago, 80s, 70s, I wasn't born yet, but um like imagine the candidates in that time, like our mushrooms and our gugums and the elders. Like I can't imagine
But old school.
negative or dirty campaigning, or
Oh yeah, especially if people
being like
were
them
spiritual. Yeah.
integrity and respectful, right? And just trusting the creator.
Yeah, it would be pretty difficult. I don't know. I don't think it would be difficult. It's just a different style back then. A lot of people were word of mouth, call people, say hello, have a conversation. A lot of door knocking, right? There's a lot of less people too back then, so
Yeah.
you can get your message out there a little bit easier. And everybody knew everybody, really.
Yeah. Yeah, like everybody knew these people, their options, and what they stood for, where they came from, and especially like being elders and stuff, right? Like
Yeah.
kind of how they lived their life and all that kind of stuff, like spirituality,
Yeah.
ceremony.
Integrity, humility, right? Some of the old laws,
Yeah,
strength and bravery.
yeah, yeah. So there's another question here on the board. I want to read it. The candidates will probably be there. They should interview the new chief then and there. Would be nice to hear when they get elected. Thanks for the transparency, Billy. I've always been an advocate for it, and you're doing well in my eyes.
Awesome. Great. I've had a lot of people saying,
Before, yeah, I just want to just cut in really quick. I've been hearing a lot of that too. So there's a lot of good messaging
"Oh,
like
really?"
that
I
that
was gonna
I've
say
got.
I've been hearing a
Yeah,
lot of bad messages. I'm waking up. I'm like, why are these people so angry? I'm doing the best job I can with and I'm not trying to be crooked. I've got I'm trying to, what is that called? You got to be objective, right? That's why you can't have somebody from Onion Lake running the election. So I feel like I'm doing the best job, and I'm like, why do I feel like a bad person? No, so it's good to see that once in a while. Just keep marching forward. It's nice. Like, thanks, thanks for the comment.
um at the end of the day, so yeah, here's another comment. At the end of the day, the people will elect the leadership we are ready for. If you want truth, you elect truth. If you want money, you elect money minded people. If you want culture, you elect a cultural person. The people are always right, even when they are wrong.
That's a good point. I mean, for any no matter how you get into office, is you get your votes and your own supporters with their own kind of similar ideology. But once you get in the office, you're not responsible just for your own supporters, right? You're responsible for everybody who has differing views that might not be the same as yours, but you're also responsible for that. So um you could even, like, why can't you have all of that, right? Culture, money, business side, and then also, what was the other one? The truth. So those integrity. So I think you could have all those things in one candidate nowadays if really wanted. If there's always people like that in communities, right?
Yeah,
So, but at the same time, like, once you get into office, you got to take care of everybody, not
yeah,
just your own supporters. So
yeah,
you got to be kind of a well-rounded person, or able to negotiate some stuff.
yeah. Another thing too, I think that's important. Like when you do get in, um, it's your focus is not just on Onion Lake. Like it's not just your family, number one, but it's not just on Onion Lake. It's also dealing with industry, with provincial
Yeah,
government, with
exactly.
federal government. So
Representing internationally, really, too, at the UN as
yeah,
opportunity arises. So it's not just inward looking. So you're saying, right? Like, a lot
yeah,
of people, they tend to, um, not really. It's their first time when they get in, so they tend to kind of micromanage where their area of experience was prior to getting in. Say it's in housing or health, you kind of just go back because what you know. But you gotta people gotta remind themselves they're the political leaders of the community, not the micromanagers of housing or whatever. You know.
Yeah. Admin, right?
Yeah, administration. So they gotta let people do their work. They gotta let their managers do their work, and they have to go to meetings, represent, be informed.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I want going back to the results, the proper term isn't because the chief, whoever the results are, the winner is they're going to be called the chief elect, right? Until they're sworn in, and they take that oath, and everything is good, and also that it's not any appeals don't overturn the results or demand a new procedure for the results. So they're simply the chief and council elect up until the point that they're sworn in and actually take office. Just a side note, but yeah. So if you do that interview with the results or whoever, it's an interview with the chief elect on Wednesday.
Cool.
Just a term.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got an oath of office here, right? Once
Oh,
you
okay.
get the results in there on attachment 12.
Yeah.
That'll be exciting.
What about the learning curve when you do get in?
There's places that help with Indigenous governance. So Banff Center for Arts is the one. I do some sort of education courses on these topics. Yellowhead Tribal College has courses like that. They're better. They're close to there in Edmonton. Oh, but who doesn't like a little trip to Banff, right? To go do some. There are some really good courses over at Banff Center, so people can get updated. One thing I would for sure want people would have to know is the Robert Rules of Order, which is like how to operate meetings, how to make motions, stuff like that. Because you're going to be going through a lot of legally official meetings, and that's how it's done as the Robert's Rules of Order parliamentary procedure. So there's ways people can, you know, arm themselves with the tools to go to achievement council meetings and represent their community.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, that's all I got. If there's anything else, Billy, or the viewers out there, I think we're gonna be shutting down here right away.
Well, Oilers are starting to play, aren't they? Here soon? Are they playing the Mammoths? That's
Oh yeah,
Utah
Oilers.
Mammoths is their name. I
Where
was gonna
could,
say go Jays go, but they need a break after that game last night. I think. Are they playing tonight?
Jays? I don't know. I haven't really been following that, so I'm not too sure.
Yeah, who can? It's middle of election time. But yeah,
We're gonna be doing voting for the Oilers game
yeah.
tonight. And you're
Just for practice, counts ballots. If we could just quickly, Fraser, I just want to remind the candidates that aren't, or the nominees that aren't on the list and haven't contacted me of why their nomination failed. Please get a hold of me. I've got a letter for you. I'll explain to you the law and where things went sideways, and how to. And then if you want to file an appeal, what the procedure is, how to help people file their appeals should they want to after the elections or results are posted. Yeah, so that's for non-candidates, and then the other and just in general, even though a lot of people might not have seen this, I need to be sure that the candidates are aware of Section 5. They aren't breaching it. That I can't police it. If there are alleged breaches, that I have to document it for the appeal panel. And so I wanted to make sure that every candidate can email me or contact me if they can, or see me in person. I'm going to be here for the next couple of days here in the community.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, so that's all I got. Question. Tomorrow, do you want to announce a time, or should we talk about that after this live?
Yeah, we'll go through those. We definitely got to go through those appeal regulations, just get the information out for people. But probably, I don't know, what do you think about lunchtime? Might be good.
Yeah, it's I gotta look at my schedule. I can't remember. I'll be busy in the morning. Yeah, let's shoot for around noon, somewhere around there.
Too much detail, right? So just get the basics out there and get people to contact me if they have questions about the law.
All right.
Awesome.
All right, I'm done. You want to shut it down?
Examaga, man. I guess we're good here.
All right. Right on. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for joining us, and wish you all a good night. And we'll catch up again tomorrow.
Yep.
Hi.